Brought to you by Create 2 Media. It's the Father-Son Talk Sports Show. Here's your host, Paulie C.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Father-Son Talk Sports Show. My name is Paul, here with Dad to me. Paul to you.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, so, it's been a while, Dad, since we did a live show. But we thought it was important with all this free agency going on and all this talk about who we're going to get and who we're not going to get, to talk about the basics, to talk about who are the core members of the Cleveland Browns. I know we had a lot of debate about the number of them and, the position groups, but I think that we can just basically give our quick rundown of who actually is important, who should be here long term, and who is just coming and going. So that, to have you kick it off, who would you say would be the core members of the Browns in your opinion?
In my opinion, first of all, you got to start off with Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's the quarterback of our team, so you have to start off with him. I break it down a little different. I believe that our offensive line is a serious core. As a unit, I think it's the number one offensive line in football. And the good thing about them is that they're signed for years to come. So I would say the offensive line as a whole, of course, Myles Garrett defensively, he's the best player by far. It's not even close. And I think that Jarvis Landry is a leader on this team that is like a spiritual leader, man. Somebody they can get behind and lean on to give them that extra motivation and push to push them towards excellence. So that's who I would name.
All right, yeah, and here I believe, just like we talked about before about the extension and everything like that. So I believe, number one, Baker Mayfield, you got to lock up your quarterback. I believe that we talked about that.
That's right.
If he's a core member, you got to lock him up. I don't really want to get into a long discussion about his contract like Dak or anything like that. I just want to get it wrapped up and let's just move forward with the football. I think that Nick Chubb is a huge piece of this team. He was a part of the resurgence, a part of that excellent draft class that we got 4 years ago. And I believe that we definitely need him on this team.
And Pablo, once again, I know I grouped the offensive line together, but I could easily group the running backs as a tandem, as being the number one in the NFL again. At what they do and the importance that Stefanski has on the running game and the offense. They're right at that second tier of importance. It's absolutely vital for the Browns to be able to run the ball. And with the offensive line and the running backs that we have, it really sets the tone offensively for our complete team.
All right, so basically, our core, it sounds like it's obviously a lot more pieces are offensive. All right. At this stage of the development of this team, I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, we're a lot more developed than the defensive side. So Myles Garrett, by default, becomes essential.
Essential. And you might be able to throw Denzel Ward into that as that second tier player, where he's essential to the defense. Some people, might question his availability, his ability to actually stay on the field because of health. But the Browns are a different defensive team when they have him as a stopper against those top wide receivers in the league.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Here, at the end of the day, we need these players. These players can't move. So these contracts got to get done. No ifs, ands, or buts. I can't see a future without Chubb, Mayfield, Garrett, Jedrick Wills. We ain't even bring him up.
Jack Conklin.
Yeah, Jack Conklin.
J.C. Treader.
Yeah.
Joe Bitonio.
Wyatt Teller.
All of them.
Yeah, so they have the building blocks to be a very successful team. I just think that, on the defensive side of the ball will determine how far we go. And I think, those additions are definitely going to be the difference between us just making the playoffs and maybe winning a game and going to the AFC Championship and winning a Super Bowl.
And you got you hit it right on the head, first of all. Second of all, I mean, you got to make some decisions defensively with Larry Obajobi for one, Sheldon Richardson for two. I believe both of those are comparable players. I believe that the linebacking last year is one of the things that let us down in the run game. But it's going to be interesting to see how they fill out those pieces using free agency and the draft coming forward.
And the linebackers will help you. The linebackers will help you to fill those gaps and to fill those holes, especially against your number one nemesis, which is right now is not even the Steelers, but it's the Ravens.
That's
and it'll help you to stop Lamar Jackson, because if you notice when you watch the game, you see Lamar against other teams, he doesn't devastate them the way he devastates us, because we can't stop him. You know what I'm saying? Like he just runs and he's just running. But when he goes and plays KC or he plays even the Steelers, it's like he has to fight for that yardage. But against us, he gets 20, 30 yards at will because we don't have anybody chase him down.
No, and that's something that it's a sore thumb for this team. Being able to chase down Lamar Jackson is important from the linebacker position as well as the safety position. Those positions need upgrading. So it's going to be really interesting to see going forward how the GM Barry and the coach Stefanski address that. It's one of the weaknesses that the team had last year that they can improve just slightly upon will carry them to a wonderful season next year.
To that next level.
Big time.
And then here, when I walked in the door and, the news broke about J.J. Watt. So just, maybe we touch on that a little bit and just talk about, because here, my initial thing with J.J. Watt was, I was like, man, I would love to have him on the squad. But as time went on, I kind of waned a little bit. I'm not even going to lie about it. Where I was like, man, I think we could actually appropriate that money elsewhere and get more bang for our buck. I think JJ is probably the perfect free agent that used to come to Cleveland to get paid back in the old days. But now we need players that's flying off the ball, ready to make an impact
and available.
Yeah.
JJ Watt throughout the last 5 years, man, has been injured a lot. He's participated in a little more 50% of the games that he's been available to play in, and in a way, it is good. JJ Watt has wonderful potential. We know that. He's a Hall of Famer in the waiting. But the Browns right now, hopefully they can utilize that money to bring some people into some of those positions that we were talking about that's really, really needed here.
Oh, definitely. So, and I think that kind of leads into our next discussion where we'll get it more into analyzing some of those players, looking at some of the options that's out there, because it seems like every big free agent is tied to Cleveland in some way. Like, I read a story about Lattimore, you hear a story about, all these different players. It's like we want them all, but it's not a Christmas list. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't just say, oh, we want that, we want that guy. They have to, build the team smart. And, I trust in them. Obviously, the first year was pretty successful, so I trust in them going forward that they'll make the right decisions to put us in the best position to be successful.
Well, I agree, man. I trust them to be able to scout the players and to use analytics and all the other tools to be able to make some wise decisions going forward. Right now is a speculative period of time. Free agency really doesn't start until March 15th. So I'm quite sure that they're putting all those assessments together right now. I've heard Levante David of Tampa Bay, Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints. And all that's going to be interesting. Don't get me wrong; both of those players will be magnificent in our secondary, and of course the linebacking core. But we'll see going forward.
We just gotta make it happen.
That's all. At least we're in a position where players are even speculated to want to come here and compete, because that's something that's new for us.
Because it used to be J.J. Watt come here to get paid.
Exactly. In the twilight of his career. And never produce for his contract either.
Now we're trying to get players that can actually, like Marshawn Lattimore has been out, 5 years out of Ohio State?
That's right.
He's in his prime. He's ready to rock and roll right now.
Right now.
Yeah. So I think what we need to do there is we need to tackle that, and we need to figure out what they really need to do. Because now I think we can drill down into the number one, the draft, and then number two, free agency, and try to really figure out how we build this defense up so we can get over that hump. So we'll come back with what?
Shoot, man, our next show.
Whatever, man. This is what we do. We always talking. This is what we always do, talking about sports.
I'm talking about especially Cleveland Brown football.
Especially Brown football.
That's our number one.
So we're going to just continue to churn them out, and y'all just continue to tune in. So until next time, peace.
Peace and God bless.
Brought to you by Create 2 Media. It's the Father-Son Talk Sports Show.